Hello and welcome. Sometimes it feels like we're all swimming in a sea of tech jargon, right? Well, today we're going to clear up the confusion. We are going to untangle these big buzzwords, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and deep learning, so you can feel a whole lot more confident and in control.
So, have you ever been in a conversation or maybe reading an article and you see these letters, AI, ML, DL, and they just kind of blur together, almost like it's some secret code that only tech wizards are supposed to get?
Well, let me tell you, if that sounds familiar, you are absolutely not alone. That's a super common feeling. But the really good news is you don't need a PhD in computer science to wrap your head around this. We're going to pull back the curtain and you'll see just how simple it can be.
Okay, here's the single best way to keep it all straight. I want you to picture one of those Russian nesting dolls. You know the ones? Artificial intelligence, or AI, that's the biggest doll. It's the one holding everything else. Now you open it up, and inside you find machine learning, or ML. It's a smaller but really powerful doll. And then, nestled inside of that, is deep learning, DL, the smallest, most specialized doll of the bunch. This simple picture, AI, then ML, then DL, is going to be our guide.
All right, so let's start with that biggest doll on the outside, artificial intelligence.
So, at its core, AI is really just any computer program that can do something we normally think requires a human brain. And here's the first big aha moment. Not all AI actually learns. Some of it is pretty simple, just following a set of if this happens, then do that rules that a person wrote. The main thing to remember is that AI is the big, broad term for any machine that can problem solve. And here's the thing, you're already using it, probably every single day, without even realizing it. You know when your streaming service suggests a new show you might like? That's AI. When you ask your phone or smart speaker for the weather? Yep, that's AI too. Even that trusty spam filter in your email, the one that follows some simple rules to keep your inbox clean, that's also a form of AI. It's really just the quiet helper running in the background of our lives. Okay, so let's open up that big AI doll and find the next one inside. It's time to talk about the learner in the family, machine learning.
So, remember how some AI just follows a set of rules? Well, machine learning is different. This is where the learning actually kicks in. Instead of giving a computer a giant list of instructions, we give it a whole bunch of data and let it figure out the patterns for itself. This is a huge deal. It's the difference between a program that's like a puppet, just following the strings we pull, and one that's more like a student, learning from experience.
A fantastic real-world example is the fraud detection your bank uses. No one programmed a rule for every single possible bad purchase. That'd be impossible. Instead, the system has looked at millions, maybe billions, of transactions to learn what your normal spending habits look like. So when a charge pops up that doesn't fit your personal pattern, bam, it gets flagged. That's machine learning protecting your wallet.
And this is really where it all clicks. On one side, you've got that classic rule-based AI. It's great for clear, predictable problems. On the other side, you have the much more advanced machine learning, which can find its own insights hidden in a mountain of data. It's kind of like the difference between following a recipe word for word and being a chef who can invent a new dish on the fly.
But what about all the data that isn't in a nice, neat spreadsheet? You know, the messy stuff from real life. For that, we need to open up that final doll and meet the specialist in the family, deep learning.
You can think of deep learning as having a PhD in machine learning. It's a very specific type that uses something called neural networks, which are these really complex systems inspired by the way our own brains are wired. This special structure is what allows it to learn directly from messy, real-world stuff like photos, your voice, or even videos, all without a human having to guide it every step of the way. And this is where it gets really powerful, especially for things like our health and safety. There are systems now that use deep learning to analyze data from, say, a camera or a smartwatch. They can spot tiny, subtle changes in how a person walks or keeps their balance. And by spotting those changes, they can flag a rising risk of a fall before it even happens. That kind of technology can provide incredible peace of mind and help people stay independent for longer.
Okay, so we've got our three nesting dolls. AI is the big container, ML is the learner inside, and DL is the super smart specialist. But, so what? Why does knowing the difference actually matter in our day-to-day lives? Well, it's all about turning that knowledge into real confidence. So how can you take what you now know and actually use it? Like when you're looking at a new app on your phone or buying a new smart device for your home.
It all comes down to this. When you understand the basics, you're able to ask much better, smarter questions. And asking the right questions is really the key to protecting the things that matter most: your time, your money, and of course, your privacy.
So here is your new toolkit. 3 simple questions to keep in your back pocket for any new tech. First, what kind of data does this thing use? Is it using neat tables of information, or is it using messy stuff like my face or my voice? That little clue helps you know if you're dealing with standard ML or the more powerful DL. Second, and this one is huge, where is my data being processed? Is it all happening right here on my phone, or is it getting sent off to some company's server? This is a really critical question for your privacy. And finally, how can I fix it if it's wrong, or how do I opt out? Knowing you have an off switch or that you can correct a mistake is what keeps you in the driver's seat.
And that is really what this is all about. It's totally normal to feel a bit cautious about new technology, but when you have clarity, when you understand just a little bit about how it works, that caution starts to transform into a feeling of control. You get to be the one who decides what works for you.
You really don't have to be an expert to feel confident navigating this stuff. Just by understanding these simple layers, you're already way ahead of the curve. If you're curious and want to learn more in the same simple, straightforward way, come visit us at radosimpleai.com. Thanks so much for tuning in, and stay curious.